Hi everyone, I'm Leanne and today I'm going to tell you about my reading plans for Christmas, Betwixtmas and the New Year. Should this maybe be two separate videos? Probably, and I don't really know what I'm going to title this video, but we haven't got time to do two videos, so you're just getting one. I have 2 full, glorious weeks away from work. I am going to eat so much food, I'm going to watch so much telly, and I'm going to read loads of books. Maybe not all of the books I tell you about today, but certainly a lot. And I've kind of got 2 separate piles for what I'm thinking I'm going to read over the next few weeks, because it's going to run from before Christmas into the new year. So as of me filming this, it is my first day off from work, but I think when you see this, it'll probably be more like the 23rd or like even Christmas Eve. So I may have already read some of these books because in the run up to Christmas, I like to be reading Christmas, festive, wintry, snowy things that are really cozy. I do tend to read a few like shorter books or children's books in the run up to Christmas. So even though I am definitely not touching anything related to my job over this 2 weeks of reading, I will read like some books for younger readers. I think there's just something really cozy about reading children's books at this time of year. In Betwixtmas, I really like to end the year on a high by reading something really, really good. And then in those few days into the new year, I just really want to get my reading for 2026 off to such a good start. Like I want to be reading serious bangers. I'm not going to be here for Christmas. I'm going to be away for about a week. So I'm kind of being quite selective with what I'm bringing with me, or I'll bring my Kindle. It may well be that I just feel like reading something else. It may well be that I'll just read loads of Freida McFadden books and forget all about all these other books. Anyway, that's a lot of explanation for essentially here's some books I might read over the next 2 weeks. So I would really like to read The Knotted Island by Catherine Child. And this is very much like vibes based, because look at this. Doesn't this just look like something you want to read over the festive period? It's giving fable, it's giving modern fairy tale. It's about an island that doesn't have any colour in it, and it's about a young islander who is taking matters into their own hands in order to bring colour and unity to the island. This is just such a beautiful book, and it is illustrated inside as well, so that just gives me such cozy reading evening vibes. I'm also going to read This Winter by Alice Oseman. I'm definitely going to read this one because I have read another of the Heartstopper novellas and I read it super quickly. If you are a fan of the Heartstopper world, whether that's the graphic novels or the TV show, this follows the Spring family trying to get through Christmas Day with minimal drama. So this just has to be read on Christmas, right? Now, I don't think this one is strictly Christmassy, but I would like to read Highly Suspicious and Unfairly Cute by Talia Hibbert. It feels Christmassy to me because they are like hiking and obviously like these are pine trees. I always read a romance book over the Christmas period. It has become a tradition, and I think this is probably the one that I'm going to read, or maybe the next one I'm going to talk to you about. But because of the pine trees, it just feels festive to me. I do think it's YA. It's following our 2 main characters in a survival course in the woods. And I think it's like best friends to enemies to lovers. I have read a couple of Talia Hibbert books. So I've read 2 of the books in the Brown Sisters trilogy and really enjoyed them. The other romance that I'm thinking of reading over this period is First Time Caller by B.K. Barson. I imagine a lot of people will be reading Good Spirits, which is like more festive, but I haven't read anything from this author before. So I'm going to start with this one where I've had so many really like strong recommendations for like the quality of this book. And I found over the past like year or two, getting more into reading romance, that some of them just aren't as great. And I think I really want to up the standard for the romance reading that I'm doing. So this is about a guy who is running a like romance hotline on the radio, and a girl calls in asking for advice for her mother. And then this goes viral, thrusting the mother's situation and this guy and his radio show into the spotlight. Really intriguing premise. And as I said, heard lots of good reviews for this one, so I've got pretty high expectations for it. Couple more books for younger readers because I just feel like they're going to give me those cozy, nostalgic vibes. I think there's something about a children's classic at this time of year that is just wonderful reading. So I'm hoping to read The Wizard of Oz by L. Frank Baum. I haven't actually hauled this one. You will see it in a haul coming up over the next few days. But I have this absolutely gorgeous cloth-bound, foiled, sprayed edge edition that is very clearly going for like Wicked vibes with the pink and the green. I've never actually read The Wizard of Oz before, and I think this one will be obviously quite a quick read. And then not a children's classic, but a book inspired by a children's classic. I would like to read Alice with a Y by Anna James. So I have read the Pages and Co series by Anna James, really enjoyed it. I also read the first book in her new series, The Chronicles of Weather Y. And I just feel like she does cozy children's fiction with like lots of classic nostalgia really well. Alice's Adventures in Wonderland is one of my favorite books of all time. I do really struggle when people ask me what my favorite book is, and I do default to that book, but I do really think it is certainly like my top 5 favorite books of all time. And it's a story that is revisited by authors kind of continuously, and I think to mixed success, but I really trust this story in this author's hands. I'm really intrigued to see what she does with a world inspired by Wonderland. I do also think reading children's books at this time of year is quite good because you are often kind of reading in like stolen moments. So having something with short chapters can be quite good. So that's what I'm thinking I'm going to be reading like in the few days run up to Christmas. As I said, by the time you guys are seeing this video, I'll have probably already read a few of these. And then the Betwixtmas reading and New Year's reading, I think there's going to be more flexibility with that. So I'm not completely wedded to reading all of these books, but they are books I've chosen because I'm like, I think these are going to slap. These books will enable me to finish my reading year on such a high and start the next reading year on such a high. But again, caveating that with, I might just decide to change my mind. I might just read loads of Frida McFadden books. Let's stay with the like cozy children's retelling. I would really like to read The Last Bard by Maz Evans. So this is about a young boy who discovers that he is a descendant of William Shakespeare. And when he inherits his grandfather's copy of the complete works of Shakespeare, he realizes that he is able to actually summon Shakespeare from the pages, and what ensues is quite a comedy of errors. I just think this is going to be so much fun. I am a little bit of a Shakespeare nerd, like not massively, but I think kind of compared to maybe your average person, I'm really into Shakespeare. I love going to the Globe. Like the Globe is my favorite place in London, and I'm going to talk about this more when I tell you about kind of some of my reading goals for 2026. But I would like to be not necessarily reading, but like experiencing more Shakespeare in 2026. And I think this is going to be a really just like nice cozy way of kicking that off. When I picked these next few books off the shelves, I didn't necessarily realize that what I was doing was going to very reliable authors. I suppose because what I really wanted from this stack of books was it to be such high quality. I was going to authors that I really trusted. So Skip Shock by Caroline O'Donoghue. I can't believe I haven't read this one yet. So this is kind of like a science fiction fantasy young adult book where time is kind of a commodity. So depending on a person's status, they have more or fewer hours in their day. So how much time you have is very much linked to privilege and power and survival. And there's also a romance at the center of this science fantasy story. Love everything that Caroline O'Donoghue writes, so this feels like it's definitely going to be a banger. Same can be said for Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I pre-ordered this one and I haven't read it yet. I think with books you are really excited to read and you're really confident that you're going to love, there can sometimes be this feeling around it that's like, one, you want to save it for like the best possible time to enjoy it, and two, there's so much expectation around it that sometimes it can end up being intimidating. And I think that's slightly what I felt with this one. And I do feel like that between Christmas and New Year period will give this book the best opportunity to become a new favourite. I'm sure many of you guys have already read this, but in case you haven't, this is set in the 1980s and is centred around Houston's space program. And there is also a female-female romance at the centre of it as well. The space race was a topic that I learned a lot about in history lessons in secondary school, and I found it so fascinating. So to have that kind of topic with this female-female romance in it is ticking a lot of boxes for me. So really excited to read this one, and Taylor Jenkins Reid is one of my favourite authors. So again, a safe pair of hands. You guys probably know that I love Marian Keyes, and I am gradually working my way through all of her books in publication order, and the next one I have on my list to read is Angels. This I don't think is one of her more better known books, but it is one of the Walsh sister books. Even though I love Marian Keyes books, I find myself avoiding them sometimes because of the length of them, and then every single time I read one, it doesn't feel like I'm reading a really long book because of her incredible incredible writing style. I often find long books a real slog, and that is not the case with Marion Keyes. It couldn't be further from the case with her work. But I'm also feeling like Betwixtmas is the perfect time for that, because I'm not trying to read something quite quickly. Like, I have lots of time. And it would also just be really good to make progress with my goal of reading all of her books. Frankie by Graham Norton. So I have read a few of Graham Norton's books over the years, and there were a few of them that I read that I thought were just fine. And then I read Homestretch. Was it this year or last year? But I absolutely loved that book. Like, I feel like it took his writing to such a new level. And I'm hoping I'm going to have a similar experience with Frankie, where I just absolutely love this one. And I've heard so many good things about this book, particularly from those in like the Irish fiction community. And this is about the dynamic between an older woman in her 80s and her younger carer. And as she shares stories with this young man, lots of things start to come back to her, from kind of post-war Ireland to New York in the 1960s. I do really like books that have kind of intergenerational like friendships. So this is another one where I feel like I'm in a real safe pair of hands for getting my reading year either off to a good start or finishing up this year on a real high. And then finally, I definitely want to read one of the books in the 831 Stories collection of kind of literary romances. So I've just picked Set Piece off my shelf, but I think I would just like to read one of them. And I have quite a few books on my shelves, and I do just feel like this will be another one where it will be such high quality to either finish off the year or start the new year. I was saying earlier that I want to become more selective with the quality of romance stories that I'm reading. And from everything I hear about this publisher, I feel like the work that they put out there, the authors that they publish, will sit in that sweet spot for me. And also none of them are that long either, which I do like. So that is it. They are my TBC, maybe not reading plans, which hopefully by the time you're seeing this video are well underway. Hopefully I do get this up before Christmas. And before I head off, I do just want to say, whether you're celebrating Christmas or not, whether Christmas is a super fun time for you or not, I hope whatever this end of the year period brings for you is what you want. I know for lots of us, myself included, there are aspects of Christmas that can be quite tough. So whatever joy means for you in this time, I hope you get that. I hope you have a fantastic 2026. If you want to let me know you're here but you don't have anything in particular to say, leave me some sort of space related emoji in honor of Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid, whether that's a spaceship, some stars, the moon, any kind of spacey emoji. That is it for me today. I hope you're well, and I'll speak to you in my next video.